The pension calculator can look a bit confusing. Let's change that. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Savvy Squaddie. In this video, I will be going through how to use the pension calculator that's dedicated for the armed forces and explaining what everything means. But first, if you haven't seen my video Pensions for Squaddies, then please watch that before this. There will be things that I will talk about and mention in this video that you might not understand if you haven't watched that video. A link for the calculator can be found in the description below. Feel free to follow along with me as I go through an example career to help illustrate it all. So for my example, Joe joined the army on the 10th of January 2013 when he was 18. He left on the 10th of January 2035 after doing a 22-year career, and he left as a WO2 at the age of 40 and promoted at a steady rate of around 4 years or so. Now, because at the time I record this video, the calculator has not been updated to include the McCloud remedy. In this example, Joe is joining the military during a period where he is not affected by the outcome of that case, and so the numbers you will see will still be relevant regardless if you are watching this after the calculator has been updated in 2022. This means that he will have part of his pension in the 05 scheme, but the majority of it will be in the 15 scheme, which is also a situation that many people serving now are also in. With that said, let's get into it. So, once you agree to the terms and conditions and click Make a New Projection, you'll be brought to this page. Fill out the boxes on how they apply to you, and I'll do the same for Joe. Joe has not rejoined and he hasn't had any breaks in his career. Now you need to supply the relevant information for the dates it has asked for. If you are not sure what something means, then the little question mark will help explain. Once you've done it for that date, click Add to move on to the next date and repeat that process. You can always check your previous paychecks on Defence Gateway to see what pay you were getting that year to help you fill out the form, and then do that until you get to your current rank. Joe hasn't had any flexible service so far in his career, so that's a no for him, and he'll be leaving the army as a WO2. So we will fill in the dates that he promoted to the other ranks. For you, fill in the dates that you suspect that you will promote. Remember, this is only a projection of your future pension to help give you an idea on what you might get if your career goes a certain way. There is no guarantee you will get what it states. Once you've filled out all that information and hit continue, you will then be brought to the final page with all the projections. This is where it might get a bit confusing, so I'll go through each part showing what Joe would get. The first part is just Joe's personal details that I've inputted, and we will come back to that graph in a few minutes. The service details are, again, Joe's details that I inputted, so nothing confusing there. But what we want to look at is the pension details. At the top, it shows the two pension schemes that Joe is a part of. So the first part is EDP at exit. EDP stands for Early Departure Payment, and it is a benefit that is unique to the armed forces. This is the amount of yearly income that Joe will receive after he leaves the army up until he starts claiming his deferred pension. EDP is a benefit and not part of your pension, and there are certain criteria you must meet to be eligible for it. If it isn't showing up for you, then you probably aren't eligible for it. Watch the Pension for Squaddies video to see the criteria. As you can see, the total EDP is made up of two different numbers. This is because both the 05 and 15 scheme have this benefit. So Joe has met the criteria for both schemes, and his time on the 05 scheme has made him eligible for £712 per year, and with the majority of his career on the 15 scheme, that makes him eligible for £4,893 per year, and together he gets £5,605 per year, or £467 a month, until his deferred pension is payable. Just like the pension though, this benefit income is also taxable. What is not taxable though is the EDP lump sum that Joe will get. As well as a monthly payment up until Joe claims his deferred pension, the EDP also offers a tax-free lump sum payment. For Joe, the 05 scheme makes him eligible for a lump sum of £4,269, and the 15 scheme gives him a lump sum of £32,377. So when Joe leaves the army, he will have a lovely tax-free lump sum payment of £36,646 to do with what he wishes. However, we see at age 55 the EDP slightly changes. On the 05 scheme, once you hit 55, then the annual amount of EDP is 75% that of your annual deferred pension. That is why the EDP of the 05 scheme increases. Next for Joe is deferred pension at 65. You can see he is still getting EDP on the 15 scheme. This is because the deferred pension on the 15 scheme is payable at state pension age and not 65 like it is with the 05 scheme. So now Joe has turned 65, the EDP on the 05 scheme has stopped being paid to him, but is now replaced with the pension that he has earned from his time on the 05 scheme, which is £1,423 a year. That brings his yearly income to £6,316 until he hits state pension age, where he can then claim his deferred pension from the 15 scheme. But you might also see another lump sum payment for Joe. This is also payable at 65 and is part of the 05 scheme, not the 15 scheme. With the 05 scheme, Joe will get a lump sum payment of 3 times his annual pension on the 05 scheme. So £1,423 multiplied by 3 gives Joe a tax-free lump sum of £4,296. Then finally, at state pension age, the EDP from the 15 scheme stops getting paid and is replaced by his deferred pension, which is £14,390 per year. That, with his deferred pension from the 05 scheme, brings his total annual pension income to £15,813 or £1,317.75 per month. And again, this is taxable income. Next is the commutation section. This shows both the outcome of inverse commutation and just regular old commutation with regards to the 15 scheme in Joe's case. So inverse commutation is where Joe could give up his EDP tax-free lump sum for a higher yearly EDP income. If he did this, then his EDP yearly income would be just over £1,000 extra. However, he would turn that lump sum that was tax-free into a yearly income that is taxable. Regular commutation is where you give up part of your pension to create a tax-free lump sum. And in this example, Joe could get a total lump sum payment at state pension age of £61,671, but his yearly deferred pension income from the 15 scheme would drop to £9,247 from £14,384. If Joe were to do this, he must decide within 6 months before he can claim that deferred pension. And remember, you must claim your deferred pension between 3 to 6 months before you would do it. It is not automatic. This article from the Forces Pension Society states that there are around 8,000 unclaimed armed forces pensions. As long as you have done at least 2 years reckonable service, then you are entitled to an armed forces pension. Even if you leave after 4 years, you still have a pension, albeit a small one. You may as well claim it. It's better than nothing. In the Pension for Squaddies video, I go over how all the projected numbers that we have just gone through are calculated. If you're interested in how it all works and how those numbers come to be what they are, then check out that video. The section below the commutation shows what Joe would get if he claims his pension early. With both the 05 and 15 scheme, you can claim your pension at the age of 55, but in doing so, you will reduce it as it is being paid over a longer period of time. So for Joe, if he claimed both his 05 and 15 pensions at 55, then his lump sum would be £3,368 and his yearly pension would just be under £8,000. You can see how it changes depending on what age Joe decided to claim his pension at. At the end of the day, it is a personal decision that you would have to make as you approach that age. Now, back up to the graph that we skipped past earlier. There is a key at the bottom of it to show you what each colour means. We can see the EDP lump sum Joe will get when he leaves, as well as the payment. It shows that when Joe turns 55, that the EDP increases with the consumer price index, and we can see the small lump sum he will get at 65 because of his time on the 05 scheme. And then his payment up until state pension age, where the 15 scheme deferred pension kicks in. Under the key is a handy slider. You can slide this down to see what effect the time you serve will have on your pension. You can see from sliding Joe's down by not even a year drastically changes what he will get. This is because he is no longer eligible for the EDP scheme. He no longer meets the criteria. Instead, he is entitled to a resettlement grant. However, he is out a lot of money due to not meeting the eligibility criteria for the EDP scheme. If we drag it down to where Joe has done just under 12 years, we can see he is now no longer entitled to the resettlement grant. And again, his pension drastically goes down. Just like investing, the longer you are in, the more money you will accumulate. So of course, your pension will not be as good if you only do 4, 8, 12 years compared to someone who's done 22 years. The growth factor under the sliding bar will show you how your future pension would increase because earnings growth exceeded that of inflation. By leaving it at 0%, you are saying that your pension is increasing in line with inflation. Nothing more, nothing less. So hopefully after watching this video, you now understand how to use and read the pension calculator, and you can start using it yourself to see a projected outcome of your pension dependent on how long you intend to serve and what rank you think you will get to. If you do a full career and meet the EDP eligibility criteria, but also pay into a separate private pension, or retirement fund, then when you come to retire, you'll be in a very comfortable position and won't have to worry and stress about getting another job to help keep food on the table and the lights on. Start making the decisions now to make sure your life is squared away when you retire and that you don't become a burden on those around you. Let me know down in the comments below if you found this helpful, and please share with your friends, because at the end of the day it pays to know about your pension, especially if you're going to try and rely on it when you retire. Thank you all for watching. If you liked what you just saw, please hit the subscribe button up there, and if you want to see some more videos, click over there. See you soon.